Hey everybody, this is That Brown Bat, back here for, I guess it will be a tutorial. A tutorial of what? Of getting NPC characters to do this. I know I've done it before, but my methods have changed. So you see, they're pulling off combos. They're not flipping around. They're not getting knocked back. So, without further ado,
I can hardly believe it myself.
All right, disclaimer here first. If you don't know your assets folder is, then you don't want to go any further than this, because if you don't know step one, then this is not the tutorial for you. Go and watch my previous videos in the playlist that is in the link. All right, go to your assets folder. And what I like to do is open up two assets folder, the same assets folder, but open up two separate windows. So I'm going to do that. Why? Because one, I'm going to go to characters, and the other one, I'm going to go to GameDB core. Okay? And in core, you're going to want to open up Toybox actors.lua, and I'm not sure if it needs to be decrypted or not. If it does need to be decrypted, then watch the tutorial on Unlua C, and if not, then just open it right up. And you're also going to want to open up Toybox data map. All right, second disclaimer, make sure your stuff's backed up. You look right here, I have, first of all, make sure your entire assets folder is backed up once or twice. All right. And then second of all, for backups, back up the files that you're going to be monkeying with, especially the Toybox data map. See here, I have a 2, 3, and a 4. All right. That is because I've messed up doing this accidentally, because you misplace a semicolon or something like that, or a quotation mark or a space, or get these numbers out of sequence. You're not gonna load your toy box, and you're gonna be like, oh, what do I do now? You should have backed stuff up. All right. So anyway, and I said we're gonna monkey with Danny Rand here, so let's go to the other one. It's characters, and I want the DNX file of Iron Fist, and that's under SPD. All right, SPD Iron Fist, the basic one. The basic one meaning it just says SPD underscore Iron Fist .dnex. It's not the one that says PS. Actually, the one for that says PS in 3.0 is not even used, as far as I know. PS was the one for the playset, and that playset's not in here. All right, so keep that open. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find, if this is your first time doing it, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do people with a lightsaber different than I do people that don't have a lightsaber, because lightsaber characters have a special animation when they interact and they clash lightsabers. You can get that for most of them. All right, so I'm going to base this solely upon, let's see, I'm going to use the White Tiger team up. So I'm going to find that's also under SPD, and it's going to be White Tiger team up. DNX, okay? And I'm not going to open it up, I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to do a Control-C, Control-V, all right? And looks like I hit Control-V twice. With an accident. All right, so I'm going to delete the one that I hit there. All right, so I'm going to rename this Custom SPD. You can name it whatever you want as long as you know what it is. I try to keep everything in the same naming convention. SPD _ Iron Fist team up. All right, here we go. Oh, I'm using capitals for that. Let me use lowercase as I did for the other ones. All right, so now I open it up. It's going to have all the info data for White Tiger. All right, so you're going to want to change some things here. And the things that you're going to change, all right, so you're going to get your Iron Fist one and go side by side. Okay, so actor tag, you're going to change that. So you copy the Iron Fist one and paste that over there. Okay, pay attention to your layer or level. I'm not sure if it stands for layer or level, but see where it says L2 _1. Pay attention. Make sure that they are the same when you're copying those, because you don't want, let's say this is an L5, but the same value. Let's say, for instance, that was L5-1 actor tag. You don't want to replace an L5 or an L2 with an L5. What you would do to play it safe, you would just take what's in the quotation marks, and then you would do that. If we come to that, we might come to that, we might not, but just keep that in mind, because if you go out of sequence on the file you're going to use, then the player will not load. All right, so go down, behavior file, keep it the same. Don't change the behavior file. We're going to run off that. So we're going to run off the behavior file for this particular one as White Tigers. Team up. All right, so other than that, we're just going to go through and search for White Tiger. And the next one we find is the override file. And on the other screen, we're going to just type in override. Override. Wrong one. Override file. And we want what's in quotations just to play it safe. And that is the Iron Fist, of course, override file for animation. And we will say Control V. Okay. And if I make this smaller a little bit, I hope you can still see it. Okay. Search for White Tiger again. Now we have the Dynex piece file. So I'm just going to go to the Iron Fist and type in piece file. And I'm going to replace what's in quotation marks. Search for White Tiger again. I got model name, so I'm going to search for model name. Take what's in quotation marks and replace that. Search for White Tiger again. It's the actor type mask, so I'm going to search for actor type mask. And that's AV Iron Fist. And I'm going to copy what's in quotation marks. White Tiger again, and that's the hierarchy. And I'm going to select what's in quotation marks here. Now we'll get to this later on. There's a couple things. There's a couple different methods that we're going to deal with here, depending on whether you want your character, when they get hit, to fall back, because it's so easy to hold your pop. I call it your pop-up button. That if you're playing on an Xbox, you'd hold your Y and you do your upswing, that like your uppercut, and you pop the character up. And if you have a blaster or a ranged weapon, you can keep attacking that character while they're in air. And if you are okay with that, go ahead. But there's a way around that, and there's two different ways depending on the character. All right, so we'll get to that when we get to that. I just wanted to let you know that we're going to come back to hierarchy eventually. All right, so right down, or if you go up, I should say, it says dialogue ID. You don't want WTG. You want the Iron Fist one. So if you see right over to the Iron Fist one, it's IFS. It stands for Iron Fist. So IFS, all right, that gives the character dialogue. Otherwise, they're not going to talk. The next thing you want to do is get the load audio, which is right below the hierarchy. for Iron Fist and replace the White Tiger. Again, that is the audio for the character. If you don't change that, you're going to get White Tiger's information. In the name here, you want Iron Fist, so you can get the sound effects for Iron Fist. I believe that's what that is. Kinematic state, we're going to come back to that later. I just want to get all the White Tiger stuff situated first. So search again for White Tiger, and now you're on file name. So go to the Iron Fist file and type in file name. All right. Copy what's in quotations. Place the file name. Search for White Tiger again. Now we're on Toolset Manager, so type in Toolset Manager on the Iron Fist. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy from the line Toolset Manager all the way down to 2-dimension mode. All right, and then do the same and copy it on the Iron Fist. And do the same thing over on the custom one. Don't copy it, just highlight it and then Control V, and now you have your Iron Fist information. And I'm going to search for White Tiger again, and there's no more instances of White Tiger. All right, now Iron Fist information should be done. The next thing you're going to want to do is some customization for some things that I found in other files. And I don't remember exactly what the other files particularly were, but as I've gone through, I've ended up copying them over and over again. So I did isolate them into a particular folder that I have for instructions here, or I should say a file that I have for instructions. So the code for changing your character's scale, I think I've gone over this before, but some of you maybe you don't know. But to change your character's scale, you're going to find this line of code right here. This doesn't change the scale, but you're going to need to replace it with this. So if you go to your custom character, go to the beginning of it and do a Control F and find kinematic. And that's your kinematic state. Remember I said we'd come back to it. All right. So it's this line right here, kinematic state. It's under the L2 one, then under that's L3 one, and then under that is L1, L2 one equals L3 one. That is your transition. I don't understand why that is, so I cannot tell you that because I don't know. But I do know this. If you take this line of code right here, starting at kinematic state, and copy it and replace that right there, notice first, before you do it, the first line, L21, okay, where kinematic state is, and the last line equals the same thing as the L121 equals 31. All right, that's very important. Why, I don't know, but it has something to do with the coding. If those lines don't coincide, your character won't load. That particular character in question won't load. So I'm going to replace that. And now you're not going to see any changes because I have uniform scale equals 1. That's what I want. But if I wanted Iron Fist to be big, then I can just go back in there and change that. All right? So I'm not going to worry about that. I just like to have that in there. You can skip that part if you want. But if you wanted Iron Fist to be half scale, you'd say that one uniform scale, L5-1 equals 0.5. That'd cut him in half. If you want it to be double, you'd say it equals 2. All right? How about shields? Do we want shields on our character? Of course we do. So I'm going to go to the custom one from White Tiger. The original, it was originally White Tiger, right? So I'm going to say Control F, and I'm going to type in shield. S-H-I-E-L-D. All right? So there is a line for shield, but there's nothing there. So what I like to do is go from the L2 shield all the way down to SkinSwapper, just from my memory, so I can readily see that. Because there's a long line of code here that I'm going to enter. not only is there shields, but there's also regeneration of shields. All right, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to replace that over, and I'm going to replace the custom one that I have with the information that I have here so I can put shields on it. All right, so I'm going to give him some shields. Since I don't know how to get the characters to block by themselves, I am going to give him some shields. All right, and I'm going to keep the regeneration delay at 0. That's how long it takes for the regeneration to kick in. I'm going to keep it at 0. Regeneration rate is how fast they do it. And I'm going to say for Iron Fist, let's say 3, and I'm going to give him 100. Not 1,000, 100. So he's going to regenerate shields pretty fast. And so if you give him time to rest, he's going to regenerate his shields, and you have to break the shields before you start getting his hit points. Now, we want hit points, too. The character needs hit points. You're going to want to find health. All right, now the first instance of that, don't worry about that. It's the second one. The second instance of that is what you want, and you're going to replace that first line all the way down to hit FX. Okay? So, we're going to replace it with this long line of code. Okay? I'm going to copy this long line of code, and I'm going to paste that in there. So now we have this. So all this extra stuff. Now you see it on screen, but I'm going to, again, post it somewhere readily available for you to copy and paste it. But make sure when you copy and paste it, you're not going to have any spaces. So if I paste this, for instance, if I do this. All right. So let's say this is the file, or let's say this is the text in the comments. This is WordPad, but this is generally what happens to people when they copy and paste on their file when they copy it from another source. You end up with spaces, all right? You don't want those spaces. Again, your character probably won't work if there's spaces. So make sure you get rid of those spaces. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so health. How much should Danny Rand have? I'm going to say 800. Is he going to be able to regenerate? Well, some sources say he does have a healing factor. So what I'm going to do is my default regenerate delay is 0. And I'm going to give him some health regeneration, and not too much, not like Wolverine, because if we had a Wolverine character, well, we have a Hulk. He has super high regeneration. I'm not going to give Danny Rand super high regeneration, because that would make him kind of unbeatable. So I'm going to say 1, and I can always go back in after a test run and whatnot. But I don't want him to be the most powerful character in the universe, because he's not. All right, White Tiger doesn't have any eyes, so there was no spot for her eyes. But what you want to do is search for Swapper. It's SkinSwapper, right? And go to the original Iron Fist one and do the same thing. And now we find that he has eyes. So what you want to do is from SkinSwapper to slow-mo kill data, copy that. All right, on the original Iron Fist, go back to your custom, SkinSwapper to slow-mo kill data. All right, and that's going to give your characters the eyes that's necessary. So I totally missed that part because when I was searching for White Tiger doesn't have any eyes. The funny thing is, I don't believe Iron Fist has eyes either, but it's a good practice to do that. Because some characters have more than just eyes. They also have a cape, and the cape is included in that. So that's very important to keep a practice of that, so you don't want to mess anything up. And I'm just going to do Just a quick run through the Iron Fist file, see if I missed anything else. Yes, I did. It's not a big thing, but the icon name, go back to your custom one. Because if you used White Tiger, you're going to have HUD player icons Mr. Incredible. Now, with NPCs, it's not going to matter. That's why some are going to say for the team up disc information, you're going to see Mr. Incredible. You're going to see Captain America. It's not going to make a difference what you change it to, but I like to play things by the book, right? So I'm just going to replace that with the Iron Fist information, just because. And one more thing on this, it's on the health information that we replaced. If you look, it says allowTargetedEnemyHealthUI. And my default was false. If you switch this to true, you'll be able to see the health bar above their head. And also the shield bar. Okay? Mace Windu by default is true. I believe White Tiger by default is off. I think that's how it is. But if you just change that to true, you can see it. If you don't want to see it, then leave it at false. Okay, so we still have more to go through, because just leaving it as that isn't going to do anything for us, because we don't have anything to tell us to bring this character in, or anything to use this DNX file. So the next thing we're going to do, remember I said to open up Toybox data map. All right, so now I have to give credit where credit is due, because who taught me this was Firepunk on the Discord. So this is how he does this. And, well, for the most part, I did some advancements. He likes to bring in the information from Marvel Battlegrounds. I don't. I tried it. For me, I have one character that uses it. It's Rocket. And if I put Rocket up against anybody, Rocket's going to win. Because just because he keeps pulling off a super move. But I just have issues with getting it to work all the time. So this is my method, but it's based on what he taught me. So I do need to give credit where credit is due. So that's Firepunk that taught me this. All right, so Toybox actors. We'll do Toybox actors first, okay? What you're going to do is first you're going to search for Blockhead. You're like, what's Blockhead? That's what they used to call each other in Charlie Brown, right?
You blockhead! You kept me up all night waiting for the great pumpkin!
Okay, so blockheads are the red characters in Gumby. Okay, no, alright. Blockheads are the little townspeople, and they're under a file called, most of them are under the same file. There are some that are individual, but we're going to deal with the character blockheads here. So what we want is Blockhead, parentheses, Iron Fist. All one word, but after Blockhead, we're going to have parentheses. So it's going to, if you didn't see what I typed in the search bar, see Blockhead, Iron Fist. That's what I typed in. All right, so if you go above that, you're going to see this DNA file. So this DNA file is going to tell Disney Infinity where to look for the model. So what you are the DNA file is going to tell the Disney Infinity where to look for the DNX file. So what you're going to do is go to your character folder, all right, and go to the custom named DNX file that you named, and I hit F2. You can hit right click rename, and I always make sure that my file extensions are visible. So I'm going to copy the entire thing, all of it, and see where it says DNA file equals characters / all right? So after the slash, where it says townspeople, I'm going to highlight everything, not including the quotation mark and not including the slash, and I'm going to replace that. All right, now it's going to tell it to bring the DNX file over. in the DNAX file, I was going to have information. So right now, if I load it up, it should show the character, but it won't be doing anything. So if it doesn't do this right now, if you check, you mess something up and you're going to have to start over. All right, so I'm going to go to Vehicles and Actors, Character Townspeople, and I'm going to look for Iron Fist. I'm going to put him in. And lo and behold, it's the model.
Greetings. I hope life finds you well.
Now if I look at him, see he has his health bar. And if I go to Properties and change his team, he becomes an enemy to me, but he won't do anything. Because, why? That's because we have to tell the game that the blockhead has to act like the character. So now what you're going to do is go to your toy box data map that you opened already from the core file, and you're going to search for, put your quotation, not parentheses, quotation marks, SPD underscore Iron Fist. All right, now you have SPD underscore Iron Fist. And what you want to do, I'm trying to make this file bigger here. All right, SPD Iron Fist. And you're going to want to select the L41 right underneath it, all the way down to the L21, L31 equals L41. I know it's a lot, but it's a lot of stuff. You're going to want to copy this line of code. Once you see God Grunt Elite, you've gone too far. So the bottom line is always going to be this L2, L31 equals L41. That's always going to be the bottom one. All right, so you're going to, normally what you, I'm just going to say it right now, you're going to copy that. And then now it's copied. You're going to want to find blockhead, in parentheses, Iron Fist. All right, now you're going to see under him, you're going to see his line of code, and you're going to do the same thing. And see how small that is? That's just for the blockhead, right? And so you're going to go from that L41 all the way down to the L2, L31, you know, the same method as you did before. But you copied that, you're going to replace that. All right, and if I do a Control Z toggle, you're going to see that the new code that I just pasted is highlighted. Don't forget to save these. Otherwise, I forgot to mention that. If you don't save them, it's not going to work. You got to save the files. Okay, now let's put him in, let's put Iron Fist back in. All right, now I'm going to change his team.
How's it going?
Now I can block
Let
him,
me know if you see any mystical
and
dragons.
it'll make it super easy for me to kick his butt.
Foolhardy to oppose an eternal weapon.
But if I just let him beat me, he'll knock me for a loop, right? But it just appears he's doing his combos, which is more than what I've had him do in the past.
What was that for?
But that's not fitting for a boss, right? Well, that part's fitting as a boss, but how about this? How about this? Now, if I do this, if I can get a hit in, he doesn't stand a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. As long as I get him onto the ground, I'll never lose. So that's not fitting for a boss, is it? Or a superhero. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take Syndrome. I'm going to go to characters, the folder, and I'm going to go find the Syndrome boss file, and that is inc_syndrome_in3 boss dnax. All right, and I already have that information saved. So what I do is I copy that and I put it in a folder for my mods that I'm working on. And I just call it Toy Box Data Map Custom Entries. Call it whatever you want. And I just have it named Syndrome Boss. I just copied the information in a notepad. But I'm also going to make an entry called, I'm going to say new notepad or new text document. And I'm going to say custom Iron Fist. If I spell it right. All right, and I'm going to take the information that I copied and put in the Toybox data map. And I'm going to paste that into my custom Iron Fist and save it. I'm also going to do another one, in case I mess it up, called Iron Fist. So I know that that's the code that I copied. Just going to close that because I don't need it unless I mess this up. So I'm going to have the custom one there, and then I'm going to have Syndrome's, the Syndrome boss over here. And actually I want to switch these around. My bad. I promise I'd never say my bad. In the custom Iron Fist one, I want the Syndrome boss information. Then I can close the Syndrome boss, then open up the Iron Fist one. All right, those are the two I want side by side, because the Syndrome boss is the template, and the values for Iron Fist are the ones I'm going to replace. So the first thing I'm going to make sure I replace are the GameDB entries, well, some of them. All right, so see where it says GameDB, core, emu info, syndrome, right there, right here, the second one. I want that information for Iron Fist. All right, so I'm going to take that, what's in quotation marks, and I'm going to replace that over here. Lightsaber Brute class, well, it says he's hero small class. I don't know the difference. There is a difference between these classes. I don't know why Syndrome's Brute class to begin with. He should be like Sissy Goat Boy. I don't know. Sissy Goat Boy. He should be Hero Small Class, or he should be Toon Class. Really, there is a cartoon class. I think what that does is, well, I think what it's supposed to do is how they handle a lightsaber when you use the lightsaber. I think, or any of the melee weapons that are in the tools, packs and tools. I think that's all it does. I could be wrong, but anyway, I'm going to replace that. And see, it says Avatar N3 dungeon bosses. Leave that alone. Don't replace it. You need that. If Iron Fist is one of the characters that this will work with. It doesn't work with all characters, but there's a way around that. What that is supposed to do is stop the characters from reacting so harshly when you block them and when you uppercut them. So in essence, it'll make them fight like a boss character. They'll feel no pain. All right, and there's two ways to do that. Like I said, but what I've encountered, there's just two types of characters, one that works with and one it doesn't. So let's see what kind Iron Fist is when we get to the end. All right, so we also have a special Stumble, and I'm not sure, is Stumble already in the Iron Fist one, just in a different spot? Stumble's not, so you can take the special Stumble. I don't know what that does, but because it's already there, we can take that and add another line. All right, keep in mind, we just went out of sequence. What we're going to do, it starts at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. You got to rename all of these in sequence. All right. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oops, Control Z. That would be 22, but all right. And I didn't do that. I'm holding off on that one. We're going to replace everything below the behavior tree. This is going to have the character act as a boss character, but not use the same actions. All right, so leave all the behavior stuff. All right, that's why I stopped at this entity. What we're going to do is replace that with all the entity stuff. Not the DNA. I'm going to leave the DNA for syndrome. So I'm going to take all the entity stuff. And I'm going to select all the stuff down to where it says material bundle on the stuff that we copied for Iron Fist. So from entity all the way down to materials bundle. What that materials bundle does is like the effects for his fire. All right, so I'm going to copy all of that. Then I'm going to go over to the custom one and replace all the entity and the GameDB stuff. If you look, we got GameDB information for Iron Fist we're also replacing. And we're going to override that. Yeah, we're going to override that with all the Iron Fist things. Now we have to go back and rename all the layer numbers, starting at 22 because we left off at 21. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 40, 42, no, 2, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 8. Then what I like to do, make sure I got this extended out long enough so I can move my cursor up and down, or make sure I got that extended out long enough so the each of these is on one line, right? So what I do is I like to count to make sure that I did not mess anything up. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we don't have up to 50, so we're good. All right, so that's just how I double check. Because I've missed it before, and guess what? When you miss it, things don't work. All right, so now we have all these layer numbers equal layer numbers. What you want to do, where it says the last one is going to say, for syndrome, of course, is going to say L5 bracket 24 equals L29 underscore 1. You want that last L number to equal the last L number that you just pasted in. So these are going to have to go to L48 underscore 1. So I advise you to do this one time on on a notepad or a text file, and all you have to do is copy it. What am I talking about? I'm going to do this a couple times, and then I'm going to show you what I did. Paste a bunch of layers down. So now we have 29 repeating. So in the brackets, it's going to have to increase. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then on the right side, it's going to have to increase. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. The right side has to go up to here. So these are, 5 integers apart. So you'd have to take the right side up to L48, but the left side is going to have to go up to equal 43. So what I'm going to do is I opened up, or what I did, is I opened up a notepad, and I just did this one and done, and I use this for every character that I mod this way, so I don't have to redo that. They all begin in this method, right? In this naming convention, all begin at L51 equals L61. So I just go on there and I find my L48 and I copy that. See, I have all the way to 69 because that's the most, that's the character with the most layer numbers that I've done. And then I'm just going to replace all the layer numbers, not including L4 1 files. You need that. That's your the space that divides this part of the code from the last part. And paste. All right. Now, also keep this in mind. If you're going to do 3.0 characters, it's going to be, most of the time, it's going to be a different naming convention. So keep that in mind. So if you're going to do Luke Skywalker, it's going to be different. And you're going to have to do some engineering for that. All right. Nevertheless, let's continue on. All right. So now underneath all of those layer numbers, you're going to see this L5 or L4 files equals 5.1, and then the L5.1 equals nothing in between the brackets, so you don't have to change that. But after that, you're going to have another L6, and it's going to go all the way to the end, and I'm just going to copy all of that and replace all of that like that. So now I have the Iron Fist information instead of the Syndrome information. All right, then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to Control A, Control C, and I'm going to go back to the toy box data map. All right, so with all that original stuff highlighted, I just toggled it to Control Z, and I'm going to paste my new line of code in there and save it. Now, there's still one more thing we have to do. Remember that line that we had in there for the dungeon bosses? We have to add that in under his hierarchy. So we have to go to the custom Iron Fist that we did, not that one. The custom DNX file, find hierarchy. Now we're going to have to add a line in there that's going to state dungeon bosses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find under the character folder, and I am going to open up the Syndrome boss DNX, go to hierarchy, and we're going to see AV, Avatar, IN3 dungeon bosses. And we want that, and we want the straight line there. See what I mean? Let me zoom in here. The straight line, I don't know what that's called, a divider or something like that. You want that. See how they divide everything? So right after where it says Iron Fist, I'm going to paste that in there. Now, after that, we're going to type in AV underscore Iron Fist, or you could copy what's right there and paste it right there. Just make sure you don't have, I don't know if it matters or not, but you don't need that dividing straight line at the end. All right, now I'm going to save it, and we will see if he's the type that the dungeon bosses works with or if he's not. But let's see how he operates now that we've done all that. Just double check, make sure that everything you had is saved. Bring in Iron Fist. Change his team. Doesn't matter what you change him to, but since he's green, why not change him to green? All right, so I just did a proper repost, and he didn't go back, so the dungeon bosses does work for him. So now I can't send him for a loop.
Hey, watch it.
I can block, but I just can't do the parry. Also, he automatically breaks out of the ice, which is fine. Yeah, so now see how when they're going up against each other, how crazy he is when he's fighting? He's not stopping. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but now and again, Iron Man will pull off his unibeam. It's cool when he does. He just doesn't do it all the time. Not like Maleficent, she always uses her exploding attack. Now, if I put Anakin down, right?
You look familiar.
Let me go to Ahsoka, because I'll show you what I'm going to do next time. I'll do Ahsoka next time, but I want to show you what you can get with a lightsaber character. Let me make him fresh, so I don't beat him on accident. Change his team.
Hey, Sky Guy.
So I'm going to show you next time how I get this going.
Make it look easy.
Hey, Snips. Do it now while you have the chance.
I don't have time for this.
So stay tuned for that. And they also parry blaster bolts if you fire directly at them. Oh. If you'll let me hit him. See? So I'll show you all that next time. And maybe more. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode of That Brown Bat Mods NPCs.
You can't
again,
stop
I
a
dare you.
dedicated Jedi.
That's what you get when a Jedi's on the job.
Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to give me a like before you click out. And also, if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do it now! And click the bell icon if you want to know what I'm up to before I even know what I'm up to, because it helps you see into the future. And I just made that up. Until next time, this is That Brown Bat reminding you to keep on building.
I am Groot!